Spider-Man and Venom, two of Marvel's most iconic characters, have a complicated history that spans decades of comic book lore. But now Sony is attempting something unprecedented, merging these two universes in live action. How will this bold move impact the future of Spider-Man 4? Welcome, Hero Junkies. In today's video, we will talk about how Sony is trying to recover the Spider-Man universe with Venom taking the lead. But before we move on, please take a second to like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more content like this. Thank you so much for your support. The Symbiote Origins. In 1984, Spider-Man's life was forever changed by a mysterious black suit. Peter Parker found an alien substance that turned into a new sleek black suit during Marvel's Secret Wars event. This is where the story began. Little did he know that this simple change of clothes would lead to the creation of one of his most dangerous enemies. The symbiote, as it was called, formed a molecular bond with Peter Parker. At first, it looked like Spider-Man's dream come true. The suit made him stronger, faster, and more flexible, adding to his already impressive skills. It could make an infinite amount of web, change its shape to look like normal clothes, and even understand what Peter was thinking. With great power comes great responsibility, Uncle Ben once said, and the symbiote's power came with a big price. Peter soon noticed that his behavior had changed in a scary way. He became more hostile, violent, and careless. The suit was turning his mind dark. The symbiote started to show what it really was. It was an alien life form with feelings that were looking for a permanent host to stay alive. It fed on Peter's bad feelings, making them stronger and driving him towards darker desires. Peter learned some of the symbiote's flaws as he struggled with these changes. Strong heat and high-pitched sound waves could hurt it and force it to leave its host. In the battles that were to come, this information would be very important. There was too much tension between Peter and the symbiote. In an instant of clarity, Spider-Man understood that the costume was alive and trying to join with him for good. Johnny Storm, also known as the Human Torch, was an old friend and sometimes a rival of his. Peter was able to painfully separate himself from the alien by using the sound waves from a church bell and the flames of the torch. The symbiote slithered off into the night, angry and weak from being turned down. But that wasn't the end of the story. The Thing had felt how strong Spider-Man was, and it was hungry for a new host that was as strong as Peter Parker and hated the wall creature as much as it did. Eddie Brock, the perfect host. Then Eddie Brock comes in. He has a grudge and nothing to lose. Brock's career as a journalist fell apart after a number of the articles he wrote were found to be false. What brought him down? It was none other than Peter Parker who showed Brock's bad reporting. Eddie was angry and bitter after being put down at work. His reputation was ruined, and his future was uncertain. As luck would have it, Brock met the symbiote when he was at his worst. The alien being was still upset about being turned down by Spider-Man, and it felt like Eddie was going through the same bad feelings. When the symbiote joined with Brock, it made a new being called Venom. This moment would change the course of both of their lives. When Eddie's anger and the symbiote's power came together, they were very powerful. Brock's dislike of Peter Parker made the alien's dislike of Spider-Man even stronger, making a perfect storm of anger and revenge. Eddie's bad feelings fed the symbiote, which got stronger with each passing second. In exchange, it gave him amazing powers that were on par with or even better than Spider-Man's. Venom came out as a broken reflection of the wall crawler. As Venom got stronger, people got more and more excited for their inevitable fight with Spider-Man. It looked like the hero and his dark reflection were going to have an epic battle. It was a battle for the ages when they finally fought. He pushed Peter to his limits. Venom became one of Spider-Man's most dangerous enemies after this first fight. He was different from other bad guys because he knew Peter's secret identity and could get around his early warning system. Spider-Man and readers alike were on the edge of their seats every time they met because of how personal their fight was and how much stronger Venom was. As comic book fans reveled in the epic clashes between Spider-Man and Venom, Sony was quietly preparing to turn the superhero movie world on its head. Venom's solo flight. In 2018, they would attempt the unthinkable, launching a Venom franchise without Spider-Man. Many people, including fans and critics, were surprised when Sony decided to make a separate Venom movie. After all, Venom's history and very existence were linked to Spider-Man in the comics. How could they write an interesting story without the web-slinger? The first big problem was making sure Eddie Brock and Venom were played by the right actor. Here comes Tom Hardy, an actor who is known for giving intense performances and disappearing into complicated roles. From the beginning, it was clear that Hardy was dedicated to playing both parts. He worked closely with the movie's writers to create Brock and the symbiote's inner conflict, focusing on the character's lack of clarity and a sense of right and wrong. Once they had their star, the filmmakers had to rewrite Venom's origin story so that Spider-Man wasn't in it. The answer came from the Life Foundation, a shady bioengineering company that finds life forms in space that live together and help each other. This clever workaround got rid of the need for Spider-Man and let the story focus on Eddie Brock's journey and his relationship with the alien symbiote. The excitement for the movie grew as production went on, but so did the doubts. Many people were interested in whether or not a Venom movie without Spider-Man could still capture what fans loved about the character in the comics. There was a lot of pressure on director Ruben Fleischer and his crew to make a movie about Venom that would please both longtime fans and people who never read the comics. If you saw Venom in a theater in October of 2018, you might not have expected what you saw. Different critics had different opinions. Some liked Hardy's performance and thought the movie was fun, while others thought it didn't make sense or have enough depth. But what the audience said something else. People who saw Venom liked how dark it was and how it took a different approach to the superhero genre. The MCU SpiderMan, a tangled web. As complicated as any bad guy's plan, the story of how Spider-Man joined the MCU is a story of business deals. Sony was at the crossroads after The Amazing Spider-Man 2 didn't do well at the box office. Marvel Studios came up with a plan that would change the superhero world. They would bring Spider-Man into the MCU, while Sony kept the film rights. People in the business world called this deal extremely messy from the start, but it ended up in a unique way. Marvel would be in charge of the creative direction of the Spider-Man standalone movies and how they would fit into the larger MCU story. Sony would pay for and distribute the movies. They took a big risk that paid off spectacularly. Many people liked Tom Holland's first performance as Peter Parker in Captain America: Civil War. His youthful energy and honest performance really got into the character, which struck a chord with both old and new fans. Spider-Man: Homecoming and Far From Home, which followed, were even bigger hits. Each one solidified Holland's place in the MCU and hinted at links to Sony's larger Spider-Verse. These hints weren't just for fun, they were clues that led to something bigger. Easter eggs and other small references in Holland's movies hinted at a bigger Spider-Man universe outside of the MCU, which kept people guessing about possible crossovers. There was a lot of talk about the multiverse after the movie Spider-Man: No Way Home, which blew the idea out of the water. No Way Home wasn't just a huge hit at the theaters, it changed the way superhero movies are made. The movie showed what a truly connected multiverse could be like by combining 3 generations of Spider-Man: Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, and Andrew Garfield, along with their respective bad guys. It wasn't just for the fans, it was a test run to see what the franchise could do in the future. The idea of a multiverse opened up a huge number of story possibilities. At that moment, the thought of Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Tom Hardy's Venom meeting didn't seem so crazy. There were no longer any walls between movie universes, and fans started to dream of crossovers that no one thought were possible. Venom's Multiverse Leap. After the credits, there was a scene in Venom: Let There Be Carnage that shocked Marvel fans. While Eddie Brock and Venom were relaxing in their hotel room, everything changed. In an instant, they were taken to a place they didn't know. The TV showed a news story with Tom Holland's Spider-Man in it, and the room changed after that. Fans were crazy with speculation after Venom licked the screen, which made them curious about the next movie. There are many things that could happen after this short scene. Venom, a character who had been stuck in Sony's own universe, had found his way into the MCU. What that meant was shocking. Could this mean that Venom, played by Tom Hardy, and Spider-Man, played by Tom Holland, will fight? Would other Sony characters follow suit? There were a lot of theories and wishful thinking on the internet. Fans quickly put together the puzzle by looking at every frame of the older Spider-Man and Venom movies for clues. Some people thought this crossover was caused by Doctor Strange's spell in Spider-Man No Way Home, while others thought it had something to do with the quantum realm that was explored in the Ant-Man movies. Every theory seemed more crazy than the last, and the possibilities seemed endless. While this was going on, Sony and Marvel kept their cards close to their chest. Official statements were still not clear, and executives from both companies talked about exciting possibilities without saying what their plans were. This well-thought-out lack of clarity only fed fan speculation, which kept the subject hot for weeks after the movie came out. As if one scene after the credits wasn't shocking enough, Spider-Man No Way Home added another symbiote surprise. In the last few seconds, we saw that the MCU had lost a small piece of the Venom symbiote. This tiny black droplet, which didn't seem important at first, held a huge amount of power. It made room for a new Venom to appear in Spider-Man's world, one that might be able to hook up with Peter Parker. Spider-Man 4. A universe merges? As rumors about the next Spider-Man movie spread, people who work in the business say that the movie might not focus as much on the multiverse idea as many fans first thought. Sony seems to be taking a more realistic approach, focusing on how Spider-Man and Venom might work together to fight a common threat. Fans are shocked by this change in direction, which has led to a lot of talk about what will happen to both characters in the future. Bringing the Venom and Spider-Man universes together is not an easy task. There is, on the one hand, the delicate balance of keeping the different tones set in their own films. Tom Holland's Spider-Man has been full of youthful energy and has fit in well with the rest of the MCU. On the other hand, Tom Hardy's Venom has done better in a darker, more isolated setting. Bringing these two worlds together needs careful story gymnastics to make sure that none of the characters lose who they are. One idea for a storyline that has gained support from both fans and insiders is introducing Null, the person who made the symbiotes. As Null is set to appear for the first time in Venom 3, he could be the perfect way to bring Spider-Man and Venom together. Because this bad guy is cosmic, crossing between universes would make sense, and his link to the symbiotes makes the two heroes naturally connected. There could be huge effects on both franchises from this merger. It gives Spider-Man new ways to tell stories, some of which might be darker and more complicated than what we've seen in his MCU movies. It gives Venom credibility and a bigger picture by putting the character in a more established superhero world. How well or how poorly this plan works could set the tone for future superhero projects that involve more than one studio working together. As fans get more excited about the possible first movie meeting between Spider-Man and Venom, they can't help but wonder how this will go. Like their comic book characters, will they start out as enemies and then work together? Or will the threat of Null bring their interests together right away? No matter what the plot is, the chemistry between Tom Holland and Tom Hardy, two well-known actors who play characters in very different ways, looks like it will be electric. As Sony attempts to merge the Spider-Man and Venom universes, the potential impact on superhero cinema is immense. This bold move could redefine crossovers and expand storytelling possibilities. However, it's not without risks. As Andy Serkis wisely noted, the challenge is to keep the characters true to themselves while also expanding their universe. The success of this gamble hinges on maintaining the integrity of both characters while crafting a compelling narrative. What are your thoughts on this potential merger? How do you envision Spider-Man and Venom's first on-screen interaction? Write your thoughts in the comments below. And to see how Tom Holland is the real-life Venom, check out this video too.